And this is like any other story that becomes a day-to-day event for us. We don't go looking for it. We react to the news that is given to us. And the news that was given to us yesterday included an item from Bob McGinn, now of the Athletic, longtime writer at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, covered the Packers for years. He reported, among other things, that in group text messages with teammates, Aaron Rodgers has mocked general manager Brian Gutekunst, or as Brett Favre called him on Favre's podcast this week, Gutenhurst, which is butchering it even more than you ever have. But Rodgers mocked Gutekunst, calling him Jerry Krause in text messages with teammates, which is, as professional athletes go in relation to general managers, the height of an insult, given the way that the Bulls players regarded Jerry Krause, even though he did put together a team that won 6 championships.
Kind of good.
All GMs should be Jerry Krause.
Seriously.
From that perspective.
Right.
But based on last year's documentary, The Last Dance, a 10-part extravaganza that was riveting for anyone who cares about sports, yeah, Jerry Krause, not something you'd want to be called if you're a GM of an NFL team.
No, I mean, definitely not. But, we're talking about a situation that's somewhat similar. I mean, it's two star players. Michael Jordan, who wasn't happy with the way things were run with the Bulls, and whatever, acquisitions, contracts, all those type of situations. Rodgers is, I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan, but he's damn close to that type of guy. Of course, is our league. He's as big a star as we've had in football over the last 20 years, not named Tom Brady. He's right up there with any of them. And yeah, I mean, this is the kind of ribbing and things that happen when you have an unhappy franchise quarterback. This is why you hear when teams want to trade a quarterback, they want to make sure, hey, do you want to be traded there? Because we want to make sure you're happy. That next team wants to make sure you're going to be happy here and not cause problems in the locker room. And that's why teams try to avoid any problems with their own starting quarterbacks, because this is what happens. Oh, yeah, the leader of the team, you pissed him off, and he felt disrespected. So now he throws, jabs and shots across the bow all the time at the team because he feels like he's been wronged.
What a shock that Aaron Rodgers would make petty, snarky, snide remarks.
Yeah, you could put yourself in his shoes, huh?
Brian Gutekunst. I've said it before.
I know.
Got a lot more in common with Aaron Rodgers than we have not in common. But I will tell you this, I wouldn't be handling my business the way that he's handled it
I hear you.
last week. I'd handle it far more directly, and I'd own it. And if I wanted out, I'd say it. Not this game that's been going on for over a week now, and it is a game. And I don't know whether he's going to win or lose, but it has been very entertaining, and we'll see how it all plays out. And I don't know where this one came from, this McGinn nugget, because I believe last week everything that hit on Thursday was engineered by Rodgers and his camp. I don't know that the Packers are deliberately leaking things in an effort to make him look bad. I think we're now at a point where there are so many people looking for so many different items to push the ball forward.
That's right.
This could come from anyone. All it takes is one person who was on that group text to say, yeah, he calls him Jerry Krause. And there may be no nefarious motive there. Just being honest.
Exactly. Right.
Just
making a joke. Everybody watched
knows
that.
Bob McGinn. Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, that was so. So I don't know that someone deliberately dropped this one into the waters of discontent to ratchet it up. And I don't know. I mean, Gutekunst didn't seem to be all that flustered by the fact that Rodgers wants him fired.
Right.
I don't know that Gutekunst is going to react all that strongly one way or the other to being called Jerry Krause.
No, Gutekunst is a pro. I mean, he knows this is a tough situation, and I'm sure he'd be naive to think that, like, what did he think? Aaron Rodgers was running around the stadium last year telling everybody how awesome and how much he loved Gutekunst? I mean, Goody knows that. The situation is what it is. This is business here in the NFL, and this is what happens in these type of situations. And I'm with you too, Mike. I don't think this is something that was, like, planted or put out there. I think a lot of people are looking for a lot of information right now, and who knows, it could have been somebody on the group text, or if there was 5 guys on the team on the group text, hey, one guy that wasn't off it, he go, hey, he's sitting at a locker going, look, Rodgers called Goody Jerry Krause. It's funny, right? The Jordan documentary. I mean, that it could be as easy as that. It really can. So, yeah, I don't think this was some planned, conspiracy or anything like that. It's kind of what I would have expected from Aaron Rodgers in this situation last year.
Hell, for all anyone knows, Rodgers has been calling him in the locker room Gutekunst or something like that.
Yeah, right.
It takes on a life of its own once guys start having fun with it.
Exactly right.
But like you said, and as we've discussed,
yeah,
people looking to push the story forward. There was another item yesterday. This one came from Mike Garafolo of NFL Media, and this one surprised me. I guess it shouldn't. I guess nothing should surprise me at this point, but I was surprised by the report that Rodgers told prospective free agents on the Green Bay Packers in 2020, don't count on me being here next year when you're making your decisions about whether or not you're going to sign or re-sign. Now, was that a factor for anyone? David Bakhtiari signed and stayed, highest paid offensive lineman in league history at the time. Aaron Jones, running back, signed and stayed, I think after he exhausted the pre-tampering period of finding out what else would or wouldn't be out there with other teams, and he got a pretty good contract to stay put with Green Bay. But Corey Linsley left. I don't know whether it was a factor or not, but if he truly was doing it, that's the kind of thing that if you're a Packers fan, you look at and say, well, dude, man, if you're going to go, just go. Don't. What are you doing? Why are you trying to create problems for the franchise that's going to be left behind if you leave? Don't sabotage. Just go. Just go. Don't play these games and try to mess with what the team is going to be or not be when you're gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, this could be a lot of different ways. I mean, one, it could be sabotage, like you're talking about. Two, it could be a lot like really the situation we just talked about, where hey, you're at a Thursday, the O-line and the quarterbacks go out to dinner, and some of the running backs show up, and they're drinking a beer and eating a steak, and guys are talking about, man, I don't know, I'm going to be a free agent next year. And, they look over at Rodgers and he just, I don't know, I'm probably not going to be here. I mean, it could be just like that again. But again, these are the conversations and things that happen when you've kind of lame ducked your franchise biggest star in the history of your organization almost. So, I don't know if I'm sitting there thinking as an ex-player, because I do think if Rodgers was like truly being a jerk, right, and truly trying to sabotage and being like, don't sign back here, you're crazy, I'm not going to be here, I'm out of here, this place stinks, and do that, we're going to hear those stories. That's going to come out if it went to that point. But if it's banter of just like, they don't want me, I'm out of here anyways, don't sign back here, like it's more of that, just guys talking, that's how I would imagine it being. He's going to lose respect if he's truly trying to sabotage the organization. That's like against man code, football guy code, whatever you want to say. Guys in the locker room aren't going to love that. But if he's saying it kind of just as a guy and like, I'm out of here, then that's part of football and football talk at times.
Well, yeah, but there's still a line there that it doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter the reason or the motivation. If you say something like that,
sure,
it is going to potentially impact the plans made by the players. And look, not every NFL player, and it would be interesting to get the full percentage of how this works, they're not motivated by, I want to go to a team that is going to have a chance to win a championship. Guys want to get paid
as
much money as they can,
exactly,
and they should.
Right.
They want to live in a certain place. They maybe don't want to uproot their family and move. There's all sorts of factors that go into it.
Definitely.
Whether or not the quarterback's going to be Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, how big of a factor is it? I don't know. And part of it may just be if he said it, guys like, it's just Aaron being Aaron. We'll believe it when we see it.
Right.
But still, the fact that anything other than neutral, anything other than nothing was said about his future. Now, and it's also possible guys went to him and said, hey, you think you're going to be back here? I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Well, I don't really know if I'm going to be back. Yeah, the context could change the perception.
It does.
But still, the report, when it shows up on the NFL's official TV channel, and it just paints a troubling picture if you're a Packers fan between the distraction that he created last week, deliberately, I believe, on the first day of the draft.
Yeah,
at
I
a
hear
time
you.
when Brian Gutekunst in the front office had far bigger fish to fry than worrying about all of this acrimony with Aaron Rodgers finally hitting the fan on the busiest 3 days for a scout and for a GM, with all the work they've got to do, the decisions they have to make, everything that's happening. And this, he's running the risk. And I think what it really adds up to, silence is not an option. Silence is not going to fix this.
No.
If he wants to try to fix this, he's got to say something. And I'm not just saying that because we want to have a clip to play from Aaron Rodgers and we want more to talk about tomorrow. You don't care. You'll be in your hammock with your pina colada and your blunt tomorrow. But I don't care about having more content. I'm looking at this from the standpoint of trying to figure out where it's going,
right.
Figure out what we should and shouldn't believe. And by now, if there was any fake news cry to be uttered, or any other qualifier or effort to put toothpaste back in the toothpaste holder, which is going to forever be the phrase that we use, and people are going to tune in and say, what the hell
are they
is
talking
wrong
about
with those guys,
right.
other than the obvious. But I just think that if you're ever going to make it be known that any of this is false, that any of this is exaggerated, that any of this is embellished, the more time passes, the harder it's going to be to get anyone to believe it. Because it's getting baked in, Chris. It's baked in for a week now, which in NFL terms may as well be a year, the way the news cycle goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is. I mean, there is some baked-in aspects to this whole thing. You know, one, I'm with you, Mike. Like, Thursday, I think, is a planned attack, right? I'm with you 100%. Like, strategic, planned attack. You know, up yours, Green Bay. This is what you did to me a year ago, and here's the payback. I'm with you all the way there. You know, this other stuff.
I'm surprised you didn't throw Joe Boo in there.
I was about to. I had a bunch of things going through my head there. But you know, the other thing too, of course, with that aspect, right? You know, we talk about the players too. Hey, the players are going to do what they got to do as far as money, and like you said, you laid it out there perfectly. But I don't think like any of these other things. Again, I think this is normal football business type of talk, at least the way it looks to me. Even the part of like, hey, I'm not going to be here next year. Like, listen, I'm sure Tom Brady told some people on the Patriots team that, like, I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. It ain't looking good. You know what I mean? I think it's part of what goes on once you get past like week 12 of a regular season and people know who's going to be a free agent and who's not and what's going to go on. Those conversations start to come up a little bit in the locker room and when you go have a beer after practice or whatever that is. So there's that aspect, at least to me, in my experience and being around it. But the other thing is, too, is, you know, because Rodgers has a passive-aggressive history and, you know, for lack of a better way to say it, cried wolf maybe one too many times with these type of things, listen, anything is going to be construed and looked at and dissected more than other players or other people because he's got a history. And that's his own fault to his own degree. I can't defend him there. But that's why, you know, guys like us and other TV shows are going to dissect almost every comment he makes, even though I think these were probably like harmless. He's made so many other calculated, harmful type comments that are passive aggressive that you read into everything because you go, well, he's done it 8 out of 10 times. So wait, why wouldn't it be 9, 10 out of 10? And I don't think he's done himself any favors in that regard when it comes to this type of stuff because we're all looking for that. What is Rodgers really saying? What's his master plan? What's he really doing here? What's he mean by that? And he's done that to himself with his own reputation.
And one of the realities of this, based upon the way stories like this have played out in the past, once the relationship reaches DEFCON 1, which is the worst DEFCON, you would think 5 would be the worst.
You would,
DEFCON
right?
DEFCON 1 basically means the missiles are in the air.
It always gets me like with the sprained shoulder. Is it a severe sprain if it's 1 or 3? Like which one's the more severe? 3. So now that one's the more serious one. Yeah. See, that's where I get confused. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I hear you. Yes.
But I always hear people say DEFCON 5, and I say
not that crucial.
No big deal. DEFCON 1. That's when it's time to put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. The old duck and cover caveat. But what he needs to realize, and what anyone else needs to realize who may be plotting a situation like this in the future, and I have a thought on that I'll try to sneak in here before we take our first break, but once it happens, that's when the horde of reporters starts scouring the countryside for anything they can find to add to it. So if you are planning something like this and you're, a quarterback, whatever player, coach, whoever, if you're planning some sort of an effort to get out from under your current contract and you expect at some point it is going to get to DEFCON 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yeah, the entirety of the last year is going to be fair game. Anything you said can and will be used against you if one of the many reporters who are covering the NFL can ferret it out. And so this isn't a surprise that the feeding frenzy would grab anything it can and present it in an effort to keep the story alive, to push the story forward, because it isn't like there's a whole lot else going on right now either. That's the other side of it. Number one, he hijacked the draft. Number two, he's hijacked the week after the draft. Number three, there's nothing to knock Aaron Rodgers off the top of the stack.
No, you're right. There's nothing going on in sports that's that major right now. And it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's, other than Tom Brady and LeBron James, I guess, and Patrick Mahomes, right? I mean, the pecking order of sports icons right now. Maybe Steph Curry might be right there above him a hair. I mean, this is the biggest sports guy in our country, and of course, my thoughts on him. I think he's the greatest quarterback to ever live. So yeah, there's this. We're gonna pay attention, and he's got a history of being Mike Florio-ish and snarky and doing things like that. So, yeah, we're all going to read into everything he does. And we know how smart he is. And everybody always tells us that, no matter who you talk to. And we know how calculated he is, too, and how much he pays attention to everything. So it's hard to believe that things are a mistake or anything like that. And especially with a guy, like Rodgers, who's without a doubt one of the 5 biggest sports stars in our country.
Think about the month of April he had. The 2 weeks of hosting Jeopardy that was taped back in February, but the 2 weeks, and it unfolded, and it was great, and he got great reviews, and there's speculation, could he play for the Packers and host Jeopardy at the same time? And while all of that was still lingering in the ether, that's when all this other stuff happened. It has been a crazy 4 weeks for the Packers and for Aaron Rodgers.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.